Alright guys, we're on to the next drawing. This drawing is going to be 2.3, and we label it as 2.3 arcs and circles. Okay, so arcs and circles, the date is 10. This would be my, oh, I'm sorry, I screwed up. Here I am making a video for you guys. I'm the one screwing that up. Scale, 1 to 1, and this is the 1017. 17. Period 0. Unit 2. Alright, remember it's 2.3. We're doing this one. So I went ahead and blown it up already. So real quick, this is your border. You kind of already see it. Notice we got high numbers, so that's going to tell you this is going to be in metric. At the same time, remember, this symbol right here, I don't know if you've learned it already in geometry, but that symbol represents diameter, D-I-A, diameter. Okay? And remember, we draw our circles in drafting using compasses, knowing the radius. So the diameter, of course, is half the radius, or I mean half the diameter. So I'm screwing that up, I'm writing it wrong, but half the diameter is the radius, right? So real quick, if I want to draw this circle at 96 millimeters in diameter, I divide that by 2. So I just go 96 divided by 2, and I come up with 32. So I set my radius for this circle to what is it? 32, I'm sorry, millimeters. But remember, we've got to have all our drawings must be centered, meaning from here to here it must be centered, meaning this space right here and this space right here, from that line and this line, they're the same. Same here. Here to here to here is all the same, right? Now, because they've given us measurements, we move them to those measurements. But if they don't give us measurements offsetting from the edge, then you must be centered. Okay? So real quick, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to draw this fairly quick because this is an easy one, but I mean, these are just still methods you need to learn. So I'm going to find the center, that horizontal line, draw it very, very light. I'm going to come over 70 millimeters from the edge. Draw a vertical line to represent that. Then I'm going to come from that 70, another 125 to find that. So let's go ahead and just get started and try to get this all wrapped up, make this a short video. Remember, you don't ever have to watch all these videos, guys. These videos are mainly for you if you ever get stuck, and I am completely busy and I cannot make my round to you to help you out. So remember, I'm very light, right? Okay, I'm going to switch to my millimeter scale. Remember, I always stab at the divider, so there's 70. And then we got to come 125. 20, 25. Okay, pull it out of the way. Okay. So now I kind of know the centers here. I'm going to go ahead and bring this back over. I'm going to set my compass to 32 because that's half of 96. Remember? Now, I already know that both of these are at 96. So I'm just going to come from the centers and I'm going to draw both of these circles and be done with it. Stabbing to make sure. Now the best way to draw, I'm sorry, it's not 30, half of 96 isn't 32 for crying out loud. It's like 48, I think, but let me just double check here. Yeah, it's 48. I'm like sitting here thinking about the circle, I'm like, man, that's tiny. So let's stretch that to 48. 46, 47, 48. There we go. Okay. Now I'm set. Now I'm going to draw this, and I'm just going to tip this down making sure I got pressure on the back side of that point, and I'm just going to spin it like this. Okay, come back over here. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so now real quick, let's talk about this one. Okay. Remember, if it has just the letter R next to it, that means simply the radius of this arc. If it has this symbol, it means the diameter of that circle. So notice all these arcs, they're all touching this outside point, which means they're tangent to that vertical line before they start curving back. So essentially, if I want to draw this circle and I need to find the center of that circle, can't I just come in 12, because it's 12 the radius, and find the center, and then set my compass and draw that arc? Same thing here. Can't I just come in 24? And it's going to be here because 12 times 2 is 24. And if I want to do the last one, I'm just going to come in 36. And then I'm going to draw that arc. Cool part is, guys, is once I draw this arc and I set my compass one time, I might as well come over and set it here, right? And draw this one. You don't want to have to keep resetting your compass 6 times when you would only need to set it 3 times, because you do one, 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 you do one. Pretty easy, right? So let's go ahead and fast forward to this. I'm going to make it easy on myself, right? It's always about trying to keep things easy for a person when they're drawing. So I'm just going to go and stab 12 millimeters. And then I'm going to stab 24. And then I'm going to come from here, I'm going to stab 36. And while I'm at it, I might as well come over here and do the same bloody thing, right? 10, 20, 24, and then 36, right? 10, 20, 30, 35, 36. Okay, so I got all my stab marks. Now I just got to set my compass. Let's set our compass to the middle size, because that 24 and this 24 run into each other and they should come to the center. So let's go ahead and do it. $24. Look at that. Comes to the center. This one comes down. Right? Then this one comes over. Bingo bango. Now I'm going to set this to 36. Set it here. Right? I'm going to come from this mark. Then I'm going to come over here and hit this mark. Boom. And now I got to do the last one. Now this 12 is going to be tiny, right? So I might not use the 12. I might actually set and use my small one. So I'm going to come over here and use this small one. Boom. Done. Right? Okay. So now let's look at this one. This one's fun. I'm not going to draw them all, but you're going to kind of get the idea. So, diameter means from here through the center all the way to the other end, right? It's not a chord, meaning it doesn't go through the center, and that's a chord. It is diameter. It comes through the center, and it's got to be a straight line. That diameter is 96. Which means, check it out, there's 3 other circles inside that diameter. So couldn't a person go 96 divided by 3? And what do you come up with? I think it's 32. Yeah, it's 32. So this diameter is 32. That one, this one, that one, this one, this one, that one, they're all the same. Because see these center lines that are drawn at 60 degrees? They come through the center also, and they are a straight line. Notice there's 3 arcs on that center. So technically, I already drew this big circle, right? I could come in half of 32 to find here, right? And then come another half of 32 to find here, and then another half of 32 here, and draw this first one, and I could keep breaking it out, or I could make it simple on myself. I could look at this and I could say from here to here, it's 32 millimeters. And I know the radius from here to here is half of 32, and it's 16. And I know from here to there is 16 too. So why don't we add it up? We go 16 plus 32 plus 16, and we're going to come up with 64. So this diameter right here is 64. And then what am I going to do with that? I'm going to divide that by 2. Because I know the diameter of that, but I know it comes to the center here. So the radius of this circle is 32. So before I get started, I'm going to draw this radius. I'm going to draw this arc, and then I'm going to break up my 60 degrees. And then I know the centers for all these outside circles. And I'm going to set my compass to 16 to do all of them all at once. Real quick, real fast, real easy. So here we go. We're setting it to set it there. Make sure I'm always in the same center. Very, very light. Right? There it is. Put it off to the side. Grab my 60-degree triangle. Remember, those center lines were drawn at 60-degree increments. So I'm just simply going to go, there's the center, there's the center. Right? Check it out. There's the center, there's the center. Looking back at here, I have a center, 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 center. Boom, 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 boom. The last 2 centers, or last 3 centers are all in this horizontal line. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? So what am I going to do? I'm going to set my compass to 16. I'm going to draw them all again really quick. I'm going to use the small one because 16 is a tiny number. Notice my lead's a little wrong. It's a little sideways, so I'm going to straighten it out. I can straighten it out. There we go. Okay, and it's a little, see how it's not very, very sharp? See how it's kind of blunt on that end right there? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my file over here. I might not do it here because it's kind of a mess. But I'm just going to simply set my file. If my finger was the file, I'm going to set it to its edge like so. Like this. And I'm just going to rub it back and forth on that angle like this. Just so I can come back to a sharp point. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Now, my file's back to being sharp. I'm on my point on my compass is. The reason why we don't do those circular is because when you draw a compass, it's laid one angle and it's rolled, right? You can't spin the lead to sharpen it at a circular surface. So it's going to constantly keep getting blunt on one side and make really, really thick lines like it did right there. See how thick that line is versus all these other ones? That's because it got fat. Sharpen it and it won't get fat like that. So let's real quick set this to 16 millimeters. And I already know the centers of all my circles, so I'm just going to simply draw them real quick. Boom, boom, boom. See how it works? One thing about these guys, though, is you will find out that if your arcs aren't touching, I mean, if they're really far apart, like this one's not the best, okay? Let's zoom in there real quick so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. See how the space kind of got a little off there? Okay? What's telling me is that my center got a little off. It went a little inclined on this arc versus being down here a little bit. This stuff's going to happen. Okay? We're not computers, and I know that we can't be perfect every time. Look at this one. I went even outside the arc. But I'm looking for it to be nice. Don't turn something in that has a huge freaking gap, because that's telling me that you don't know what you're doing when you turn this into me. Okay? So, now that we kind of are starting all these videos, I expect people to know these things so that way they can actually do stuff appropriately. Alright, so real quick, one thing you will find out is if they have center lines in here, I need to see them. You don't turn something in that doesn't have center lines, because center lines are important. Because if you were to take this drawing and hand it to another individual that, let's say they were building this part, if there wasn't center lines, like if I erased all this right here, they wouldn't know where they would be lined up. And if they didn't have this here with the degree, I mean with that, then they wouldn't know that these all line up. So then there could be a bunch of measurements that get thrown off. And of course, if a person's smart enough, they could figure it out. But why make it harder for them when you can do it right the first time and turn out quality work? And it's easier for them to read. So I'm going to go ahead and set this again. And I'm going to learn to go large arc, small arc, small arc, small arc, I'm just going to go long. Boom. So those ones are done. I don't want people freehanding that. You got to learn to use these tools. Okay? Real quick, I got 60 degrees. This drawing's just about done, guys. I know I come through my centers, small dashes, long dash, small dash, long dash, small dash, long dash. It's pretty easy. Once you kind of get the rhythm of it, it becomes very fast for people. But the problem is if you don't practice it right, making them look right, then you get really frustrated. And you'll find out that you get frustrated that I keep sending you back to draw them with center marks. Right? Draw them right the first time, and I won't have to keep sending you back to show me that they look like a center line. Because without the center line, I can't tell what the heck they are. And if a person was to redraw this, then it would be hard for them. Right? Boom, boom, boom. Drawing is done. I've got to see the center lines. You don't show me the center lines, I'm sending you back. Remember, this is 2.3 arcs and circles, guys.